Alright, this week it's time to get into yet another adventure. So this one's Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos. And then this one is another Magic the Gathering one. So this one is The School of Magic is in session. The greatest minds in the multiverse meet at Strixhaven University. Professors teach wondrous secrets to eager students, and life on campus is frenetic. But danger lurks even there when campus hijinks mix with the sinister plots. It's up to you to save the day. Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos, introduces the fantastical setting of Strixhaven University, drawn from the multiverse of Magic the Gathering, and provides rules for creating characters who are students in one of its 5 colleges. You can explore Strixhaven over the course of 4 adventures, which can be played together or on their own. Each describes an academic year filled with scholarly pursuits, campus shenanigans, hidden dangers, friendships, and even romance. This book also includes a poster map with Strixhaven's campuses on one side and location maps on the other. So this one is like a levels 1 to 10 adventure setting. So with 4 different in a sense one shots, you can, like it says, run one, kind of introduce one, and then kind of go off on your own, or run all 4 and be able to get everyone from level 1 to level 10, sort of like Curse of Strahd. So the good old poster map shows different as I'm hiding behind the map like usual, different locations, and on the flip side actually shows the different campuses. So this is pretty much like a good old big map and everything. So alright, so this one is probably another one where it could be wizard centric, because being a university, but you could in a sense introduce any type of character. So the usual contents of in this. So these adventure books I usually don't do flip throughs, so that way I don't necessarily ruin or have as many spoilers. Keep those to a minimum as possible, so that way when people get into this, they're not oh hey, I remember this, and oh yes, I can do this and that. But a good DM would sit there and if the players start doing that and everything, oh yes, I know what's coming up and everything, so I'm gonna start playing like this. A good DM will sit there and throw a curveball, and then all of a sudden go off into left field and go a completely different in a different direction. So that's the one bad thing about being a player. And if you pre-read stuff to kind of be oh, I know what's coming. Good, if you have a good DM, they're going to do that and everything. So you best just kind of okay, well, let's see where this takes us and everything. Go in with a blind eye. So this pretty much starts off with talking about what this book is, the orientation, the Strixhaven's worlds, and then chapter 1 gets into life on campus, a magical study, the campus overview, and then gets into the different colleges Warhold, Prismari, Quandrix, Silverquill, and Winterbloom. And then in chapter 2 it gets into the character options. So it does introduce a new race option called the Owlin, and then it gets into choosing a college. It has to have Strixhaven backgrounds, a Lorehold student, Prismari student, Quandrix student, Silverquill student, the Witherbloom student. It also has in this chapter feats Strixhaven initiate, Strixhaven mascot gets spells, things like borrowed knowledge, kinetic jaunt, silvery barbs, vortex warp, wither, and bloom. It does have a bunch of magical items as well in this chapter as to pretty much finish it off. And then chapter 3 is school is in session. So then it pretty much talks about running the adventures, track it Strixhaven tracking sheets, extracurriculars, jobs, exams, relationships, and then then it actually gets into the next several chapters. It gets into the actual adventures. So chapter 4 is Hunt for Mage Tower. Chapter 5 is the Magister's Masquerade, and chapter 6 is A Reckoning in Ruins. And to finish it off is chapter 7, Friends and Foes. So those 4 pretty much take up the good majority of this book, since they're being an adventure book, this is what this focuses on, is those 4 adventures. So, but of course, the first 3 chapters could be good for like the players to like as a DM, you like use those first 3 chapters to get the players in and kind of get things set up and everything. So like okay, you could have like in a sense like rivals from different schools kind of get coming together as a group and kind of trying to compete against each other in the adventures and everything. So that's one idea to do how to run the adventures. Of course, you could have friends all that are part of just one college, like maybe like a wizard studying at one of the colleges, and he has a friend who's one of the guards, like in the sense of the fighter class, and then maybe like a bard is kind of enrolled in classes there to kind of like learn since the bard is like an arcane spellcaster, they could be enrolled to kind of learn their skills, like magical skills, through the college or whatnot. And so you could kind of like finagle it so that way like the party could be of like a specific college, and they go out in to kind of represent that college in the adventures, and kind of like oh, here we go, let's go out and like get this stuff done for our college, so we can like maybe have like a competition between the other universities. So but this one is, it seems like there's a lot of other ones, like for instance, like what comes to mind is like the Tales from the Yawning Portal. It seems to be like all these adventure books, there seems to be like a good blend of one shots plus like all pretty much like a whole adventure, one adventure itself and everything. So I think that like they're having the mix is so that way that people can kind of like decide what they want to do, because like some people do like one shots. They like you can take one of the 4 adventures in here and just kind of like, okay, we want to do something quick, so let's pull something out of this and just like boom, one and done type of deal. We do like maybe like an adventure, able to do an adventure in like a whole session or anything. Like that's like the whole concept of like the one shot. But like sometimes the adventures could take multiple sessions, and like okay, you could do like still something relatively quick with one of the adventures that takes 2 or 3 sessions and everything. So I'm always big on like, okay, do session 0, which like the whole concept of that is getting like the whole background and everything and the groundwork laid. So like, and for instance, with this book, the first 3 chapters, like you could do a session 0 with the first 3 chapters, get like all the details together, and like spend like a few hours together writing up characters, writing up their backgrounds, getting all the setting and everything all in picture perfect to get into this. And then of course, like I said, you could do like a one shot with one of the adventures to kind of introduce people to the whole concept, and then like you could go completely off base and not use the other adventures, or like this is also designed to be able to use the other 3 adventures, so you could get your characters from like level 1 to 10. So there's always those 2 options, like with all the books that have these like in a sense one shot adventures in them, or a collection of them, is that you can string them together to create a whole campaign in on itself and everything. But if that's not really your cup of tea, then like I would say like get into like something like the Curse of Strahd, or like maybe like the Dragonlance, the Shadow of the Dragon Queen, something where you have like a specific adventure that you're running over multiple sessions, and you're not doing like a one adventure and then like, okay, well, do we do the next adventure type of deal, or like where do we go from here? So like it's ultimately to each his own. So like what's kind of cool is like with this and like the other one, like Ravnica, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, is actually this is a second one that actually ties in the card game to a tabletop role-playing game. So now of course it would be kind of hard to kind of like reverse that, because like you in a sense would have to be able to get like the material and stuff to make your own cards. Like if you wanted to do like in a sense like a Dragonlance Shadow, the Dragon Queen adventure, if you wanted to make a card game based on that, it'd be kind of hard to like reverse that campaign setting into a card game unless you had like the materials to be able to make your own card, and then you had your own artwork, or if you were artistic yourself. So it's a lot easier for something like this to bridge the gap the other way, like doing like the card game to the tabletop role-playing game. So this is what's kind of cool about this, is that you can kind of bridge the gap between card game and board game. And so like if you're a big Magic the Gathering card game player, then what you could do is also use your cards to kind of maybe introduce them into something like this. So like you could get creative that way. And of course it's just this whole concept of like the Strixhaven and the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica does introduce that concept of getting like a card game into like the tabletop role playing game. So like, you could, in a sense, like another big game is like Lorcana. You could use like maybe that card game to, in a sense, using a concept like this and everything, and Lorcana use that as like the basis and like, okay, well, let's run a tabletop role playing game based off Lorcana, or you could base it off any other card game like that. There's also like the Final Fantasy card game. I know I've gone over Marvel Overpower. It's a card game. I also have gone over the Marvel multiverse role playing games. So like you can kind of see like how you can get different card games and ramp them into a TTRP. So like this is like or something like this actually shines, is that it introduces the idea of getting card games into TTRPGs. So like it would be like a great way for you as like a Magic the Gathering player to get into tabletop role playing games like a D&D. So now you could, in a sense, also be able to like shift this over to like a Pathfinder, but like as a DM, it would be a little more legwork because like especially with second edition Pathfinder, because like the rules in fifth edition D&D is slightly different than in second edition Pathfinder. So like the legwork would be a little more for you as a DM to be able to shift this in from a D&D campaign into Pathfinder, but it is possible and everything. So like that's just yet another option on how to run this adventure as well.